Yes. All right. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Before I'll forget, we have a website, and our website is yeshiva.etzion.com. We have a PayPal account, so therefore every penny helps. We're trying to reach a certain goal, and maybe hopefully one day to have our own facilities, and not to be hosted, but rather host people. So any penny helps. Dollars will be even better. There's a PayPal account there. You can reach us if you have questions at rabbigaon@gmail.com. We also have a YouTube channel, etc., etc., etc. I want to talk to you today about how you destroy society. And being you a part of society, how you basically destroy yourself. And if you need to go, feel free at any time. Now, so you have to understand and be aware that every time you open a newspaper or you open your telephone or a computer and you see some catastrophe, headlines, and you really, wow, let me see what's going on here, you are basically becoming a partner with the forces of destruction and forces of evil. Now, how is this possible? Why? Because that media format, giving a newspaper and so on and so forth, were especially designed in such a way for you to be trembled. So basically, this is a trap. The headlines, they're not going to say, for example, a headline of something like, old lady helped by a young girl to cross the street. And you would see, an old lady was killed by a young girl while she was crossing the street. Oh, everybody looks at that. So that, you have to understand, you are entering, when you're watching all these things, and you're dealing with all these things, you're entering into a very danger zone. And I'm not talking about Top Gun danger zone, talking about different types of a danger zone. That is to create an imbalance inside of you, to create an internal chaos inside of you, and to really shake you up. In other words, to bring you to a state that you really don't know what to do. When you don't know what to do, and you are in a state of dazed and confused for so long, all of a sudden will come someone who will tell you exactly what to do. Usually these are the experts and politicians and people of that sort. So, of course, we are being bombarded with information day in and day out all the time, and text and news briefs and headlines and so on, TV, internet, whatever it is. And what really happens here is that this is all done to really change the way you think and to change your perception of reality and to create a new reality for you. And to that matter, therefore, you might consider, and I don't have a problem saying that the media anywhere is basically your enemy. It is your enemy. I'm not saying go to war with it, in other words, but what I'm saying to you is, it is your enemy that faces danger. You want to put the heat on. Puts danger on you, and therefore you need to do whatever you can to protect yourself from that. So just stop watching. Because they want and the danger is because their ultimate goal is that your experience of reality is going to be their experience, the way they want you to experience it. If you look at events that happen in America, how America, for example, I'm using America as a model, change throughout, let's say in the last 40 years, and you just need to watch old TV shows or movies from 40 years ago and progress yourself into modern days, and then you'll see how we were changed. For example, you would think that after, let's say, September 11, people will be, quite weary of having, let's say, Muslims coming into the United States. However, since September 11, every decent, quote-unquote, TV show has a Muslim on it. And the Muslim usually is being portrayed as a good person, not as a bad person. And since September 11, argument's sake, just for argument's sake, there are more Muslims in the United States than ever before. I'm not using it as and I don't like the word phobia, because the morons who use phobia for everything don't understand what a phobia is. But let's use the term Muslim or Islamophobia, which is not, I'm not afraid of anybody. Afraid of God over the things that I did, but not of a person or ethnicity. So, however, that is a phenomenon. I'm just using it as an example of how we change the opinion of people, even after something catastrophic had happened, but not to bash this group of people versus group, because I know a few Muslims, and they're pretty decent people. Tell you the truth. So, but it's just amazing. Now, and where is this really coming from? You should know that that this experience, which is this trivial point that we are dealing, it's very simple and it's quite understood, because intellectually this is something that we might be able to understand, and what's going on. Another thing is really to understand, to be able to really read what is said in the medias and so on and so forth, and everything is in the TV. You should know that it's really processed through people who are in charge of shaping your awareness. There's filters. We don't have an official censorship in the United States because of freedom of speech. However, there is a form of censorship where things are not being portrayed and broadcast the way they are. For example, a certain vice president is known for his, ex-vice president is known for his great hobby to grope women. However, he belongs to one political stream that is very vocal. So they kind of quieted down. They said, don't worry about it too much. You'll, just pretend that you have a cold. However, if it was the same person from the other political stream, but the home call I hear is going to be noise and so on and so forth. So they shape it. What you need to understand, what happens through media is it's not a report of events. And what really is a reality in your mind, the way it's being portrayed to you, is not reality, because the urge of the media people is not to describe a reality, but rather to create a reality. They're creating a reality. If you would take JFK now, and you resurrect him from the dead, he will probably be considered to be a conservative, not a Democrat. So what happened? The reality was shaped by a few group of people, and they created a false reality to you that you think that this is real, but this is really not, it is. So you might start to understand that watching even the news on TV is really watching a show that somebody had produced for you. It is no different than watching a movie. When you watch a movie, it's being edited and being produced in a certain way. Watching the news is the same thing. And the person has a certain, creative urge, and this is basically what they did, or because of, as we said, to create a reality, a new reality over your back. So you need to understand also that usually what happens in a case like this, we count on their opinion, we count on their calculations or whatever that is, and their urges, rather than really operating into us, our own urges and our own reality. We are basically, when you sit down and you watch the news, you're basically a puppet. You are watching a movie that you don't know what real and what is not real. But if you understand, therefore, why is that? Why do they do that? And the answer is very simple. There is only one word for that. Anybody wants to guess what the word is? You want to try? Anybody wants to try? Power. The only reason why they do that is power. It's their desire to be in control, to be powerful, and so on and so forth. There's nothing else. When you have a person who is a news producer or or reporter, basically they're taking a role of God. They think that they're almost God by creating a new reality. If you ask the average Joe, if you take the average person, I forgot who was it, that he was a really left-wing person. He did not watch the news for a year. All of a sudden find himself, in Israel, he find himself to be a complete right-winger. From left-wing became right-wing. So they have the power over you. They control you. And then they tell you what you want. And they tell you what's good and what's bad. They are playing God over you. Things that you would not even believe that you are capable of saying, needless to say, doing 10 years ago. You find yourself saying, that's okay. Everybody's got the right. Maybe to party. But that's only good for the Beastie Boys. It's not good for everybody. That's something you have to be very, very careful and be very aware of. What happens when you take part in this game? And if you don't watch it, they lost. Because you are the one with control, not them. So, I can tell you something else. I'll take my words back. A person who writes the news, who edits the news, and not only that he's playing God, I'll tell you what he's doing. He's playing super God. You know why? Because now he has people who believe in him and believe a word and say, God himself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, has to go through so much to prove to us that he is God, and we still doubt it. Some dingbat who's writing the news, he already has followers and believers in every word he's saying. He's the big honcho of all. In Israel, this woman, she was a newscaster, and all of a sudden she went to politics. She's becoming a minister. What's his name? Yair Lapid. I don't know. Whatever. I won't use any terms of whatever he was. Just a reporter. A nice looking guy. All of a sudden, he wants to become prime minister. He holds. For what? And that's exactly what happened through the media. So you have a person now, of course, this woman, what's her name? OBG, what's her name? Celia Cortez, whatever. She gets so much publicity for free because some, Michigan is pushing her. So now whatever she'll say, everybody says, hey man, She's also a product of somebody else, need for power. The real people who are powerful don't come to the mainstream. They're the ones sitting in the dark, in the shadows. These are the people who pull the strings. That's why, for example, Washington does not like outsiders, argument's sake, like Trump or Nixon. Why? Because he's not a part of the chevre, of this, kumbaya gang of, it doesn't make a difference, by the way, if it's George Bush Sr., Jr., or it's, Reagan or Carter or Clinton. For whatever reason, there is a certain agenda that has been going on to the Middle East since day one. Why? Because the same old farts sit in the State Department. They dictate to the president what to do and what to say. He's just a product. He's a puppet. And so are you. They simply do not want you to think. And a Ben Torah should not be in that state. A Ben Torah is a person that should be thinking. You need to be thinking. You need to be aware of what's going on all the time. All the time. You should not be a part of this. That's why for Ben Torah really should not be involved in political agendas, because when you are a member and you politically associate yourself with somebody else, you're basically making yourself into a new religion, which has its own support system and its own system of beliefs and so on and so forth. For example, if you associate yourself as a Democrat, you can tell me that you don't believe in global warming or you think the border should be secured. If you this, or you might find yourself saying things or believing in things, quote unquote, that are completely against the Torah. So in other words, you abandon your system of belief as a Jew and you became, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever you became. You are a Jew. You are Shomer Torah Mitzvot. And you are commanded to think and to value things based on the values of Torah, not on some, news editor in whatever network. And especially in today's day and age, that all they have two main media bodies that just buy everybody. So you hear one, you hear all of them. This is how you change the masses. It's called brainwashing. And brainwashing only happens when you allow it to happen. And how do you allow it to happen? You listen to the news. Don't listen to the news. Every time you hear the news, flip a station. You better off listen to, I don't know what, not even commercial. Commercial is the same thing. Commercials, they'll tell you what to buy. What do you need? I don't need that. What do you need? iPhone XXX 15. I don't need it. My telephone has more power than the computer that went to the moon. If I went to the moon, I can't find my way out of a paper bag. They want ways and this and that. Do you ever try to use a map? Because they tell you need it. Then guess what? You need it. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. All of a sudden, you would find yourself, if you continue this path, you'll find yourself really not being observant. You abandon God for some news editor that told you that this is good and this is bad. I don't need you to tell me what's good and what's bad. As a matter of fact, I don't want to be a part of this negativity that is spewing around. I don't want to feel that I'm out of control. I am in control, and I'm in control of myself. Again, when you feel out of control, somebody will come and tell you, listen, I'm the Savior. I'm the Messiah. I have hope. That's exactly what happened with a certain president a few years ago. He was the hope. Let's smoke a little dope. But today we have no hope. Somebody else has hope. But that becomes a huge problem. So how do I do that? Is if you're going to just say, okay, you know what, I'm disconnecting myself from the world. You're only going to be reaction. It's going to be a reaction. There's a reaction. You're always playing second fiddle to somebody who's acting. So don't react, act. Don't react, act. How do you act? You should be able to pass this, with true heroism, and is basically start getting control over yourself. Getting control about what you expose yourself, and so on and so forth. You're allowed to, for example, to watch, I don't know, you want to watch a documentary about, rally or whatever, just kidding. You want to watch some, you can watch whatever it is, but make sure that it's not somebody's opinion. I mean, look at Al Gore, for crying out loud. What a masterpiece he created. He lost the presidency and he won global warming. Global warming did not exist until Al Gore brought it to the surface. He made a movie. Because his idea was he wanted power as a president. He didn't get this power, he got power somewhere else. He influenced, as a matter of fact, because of his famous movie about global warming, Al Gore controlled the world. Not only the United States. And his quote-unquote presidency on global warming is continuing way above and beyond what he could have reached as a president of the United States. And show me today somebody would, I know frum people, very intelligent frum people, Talmidei Chachamim, that they would swear by global warming and they would call you a heretic. They would fight with you. They would discuss this over Shabbat. Look, you have nothing else to talk to me about Shabbat besides your darn global warming. I don't know, it's been pretty good. Last year, for example, we didn't have, we had 1 day over 90. That wasn't bad. And so on and so forth. So, don't forget that when we say investigative journalism and so on and so forth, there's no such thing as investigative journalism. It's just, as we said, an effort that is not coming here to reveal the truth, but to create the truth. You want an example for that? Not a problem. Not a problem. You just came back from Israel, right? Mm-hmm. And you also live in the States.
Yep.
Is it true that the Palestinians have been treated so bad? I mean, who have they been treating bad? By their own people!
Facts.
Sorry?
I hear it all the time.
All the time. There was one journalist from Germany, she said, that's it, enough, I'm going to report the truth. This is what we're saying about Israel is wrong. All right, terrific, give her a medal, I'll give her a medal. I mean, so I guess the world, the anti-Semites, could not deal with the fact that the state of Israel is not diminished by the wars that happened, so they decide to destroy it somewhere else, and they created this biggest fake thing out of the 20th century that's called the Palestinian nation. I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, before 48 there was no such thing as Palestine, there were no Palestinians. Even those who call themselves Palestinians are basically Bedouins that came from Iraq and Egypt, just to let you know. Gaza was taken by a war from Egypt, just as Sinai. The Golan Heights was taken in war by Syria. Syria wants it back. So how come Jerusalem, that was taken by war, regained from Jordan, all of a sudden becomes Palestinian? There was no Palestinian for him to say, we're not occupying. But that's what the media tells you. And that's a changing of the creation of a reality. Now you see how dangerous that is. So how do we do that? That is something that we really, really need to do, is to become more, first of all, involved with emunah. You have to know your history. You have to develop your emunah. You have to know really what are your core values of what it is, and stay away from negative and negativity. Stay away from negative people. Stay away from negativity, because when you do so, you become a partner to these forces. Gain your own freedom. Gain your own self-control. See what the truth is, and dealing with the truth is the only way to win. It's the only way, by the way, to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to find out what the truth really is. When we are Dayanim, you have to know what the truth is. You can't be paskin. You can determine what the case is based on your gut feeling or emotion. You have to know what the truth is. That's why you have to hear both sides. And that's exactly what is not happening here. And we have to be careful with this. Stay away from politics. Stay away from negativity. And maybe you have a chance of a good day.